This episode is made possible by NetSuite by Oracle and Brex, the AI-powered spend platform.
Hi, this is Brianna Gerber, CFO of Chromadex, and you are listening to the CFO Thought Leader podcast.
This is episode 1011.
Today, our AI can, turn our reactive action into proactive, but we are just weeks away from, getting predictive. I'm very excited about that. On the operation side, we're also, making AI part of every part of the organization, from using AI to analyze, customer call, for code assist to, make our software to, the back office generating legal contract and, looking at financial data in a more strategic way, in a much quicker than we are able to today.
Hi, it's Jack. On today's episode, we speak with Carol Lee, CFO of LogicMonitor. CFO Carol Lee advanced up the finance career ladder in both pre-revenue startups and multinational corporations. These contrasting environments equipped her with a unique perspective on what it takes to be both scrappy and scalable. Along the way, Carol distinguished herself as a dedicated self-learner. She would identify areas where her finance knowledge was lacking and then set out to absorb all she could. Now, some might say, at the end of the day, we're all self-learners. Yes, but some, like Carol Lee, begins each and every day asking, what is it that I can learn today? You'll hear the story of Carol Lee's career journey and much more. We begin after this. CFOs and controllers, does expense management feel like a necessary evil? It's time to switch to Brex. Brex automates and accelerates spend management with easy-to-use corporate cards, travel, expense management, and bill pay, all on one AI-powered platform. Brex makes it easy to boost efficiency and compliance enterprise-wide and free up your managers, employees, and accounting team for higher impact work. Top companies from startups to enterprises are using Brex to automate manual work and transform their finance operations. We're talking DoorDash, Robinhood, Airtable, and countless other industry leaders. Ready to join them? Switch to AI-powered spend management at Brex.com. Hello, we're speaking with Carol Lee, CFO of LogicMonitor. Carol, welcome.
Well, thank you, Jack. I'm very excited to be here.
So, Carol, as always, we're going to ask you to look back, and what we're looking for are those experiences that you feel really prepared you for this role. What comes to mind?
Yes, there's two things that comes to mind. One is I have the opportunity to work in organization different sizes. I have done pre-revenue startup and also work at a multinational public company with over 10 billion in revenue. So that really give me a perspective. What does it take to be scrappy? And what does it take to scale big? So those are very important learning that I have accumulated over the journey. So number two is, doing a whole lot of M&A from both buy and sell side. So from the buy, maybe I'll start from the buy side first, right? When you do the buy side, you see a lot of financials information and then business presentation. And when you do pull the trigger and buy the company, and you also need to work on the integration and the synergy. So it gives you an end-to-end view. I feel like, you've seen so much in some of those, M&A opportunity. On the sales side, also give you a perspective to send on the other side. So those experiences so interesting, allow me to really understand the growth and efficiency lever and how do I think about, product market fit? How do I think about go-to-market motion? How do I think about strategy and plan and all the different space? So it just give me a lot of view in a short period of time. So I would think, those two experiences come to mind.
Hey, so how far along were you into your career? I imagine it might have been still the early years where, on the buy side, as you said, you got sent to a company to discuss with the management, and maybe you were just the junior member of the team who pulled up a chair and got to sit at the table. But do you remember the very early experiences you had in that M&A environment?
Yes, you're absolutely right. During those early time, I was the analyst that basically need to absorb all the information and then go build my DCF model and then participate in those conversation, right? And then over time, I become the lead in those, in those situations. I think it's really great to be able to understand end to end. I would definitely treasure those opportunity. If it's, for those early career people that want to be CFO or other role in one day, take those opportunity. Even if you just pull up a chair, you are taking notes, you're building spreadsheet, but those conversation and hearing the question and the answer and how people different perspective come together, those are tremendous learning experience.
Now, what I want to describe it as a weight class of company. Are these medium-sized companies that you were part of the finance team when these opportunities came your way?
Yeah, so when I first get the opportunity, it was a mid-sized company get acquired by a 10 billion, revenue organization. So I become, a divisional finance person, if you may, to help with those integration because part of the strategy is to roll up, to add vertical, to add, different product line.
And how did you get tapped for those types of opportunities? Had you already proven yourself, do you think, in some way, and someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, we'd like you to be part of this?
Yeah, so I think it's more saying yes. I would say, back, you asked very insightful question, right? When I got acquired, the mandate was, hey, maybe I will do this job for a year just to learn how a 10 billion organization run, and then I can go back to my Silicon Valley startup and do my thing again. But that 1 year commitment turned into 7, because in that I keep saying yes to opportunities. And in those organizations, you get to not just go up vertically. You can sometimes tangent. I'm a career I would say my training is from the FP&A side, but because of those opportunity, I get to work on corp dev. I got to work on integration. I got to work on strategy. So it's a lot of fun that way. So it kind of give me that broad view that ultimately is very helpful to be sitting in the CFO seat, having seen those views.
You were not an accountant. You were a financial analyst from the very early days and went right into like FP&A and, as you described, this M&A work. Am I correct about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us, though, how did you broaden yourself, and were you ever sort of, and I'll just point out, I mean, you made it to the C-suite, I think, roughly in 18 years or so, under 20 years. You
Sure.
make it there. You've been in the C-suite now in a number of different companies, roughly around 7 years all total. But was there ever a time where you felt, I've come this far, and I think I have to demonstrate either leadership or something that's going to allow people to give me more responsibility and enter the VP ranks? Maybe it was. I don't know where it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the first 10 years is about technical skill. You work hard, anything you don't know what to do, read a book, ask a friend, and, go enroll yourself in online classes or, whatever it may be, right? That's before the YouTube era. So no YouTube short there. So the first 10 years, going through hard work, technical skill, keep accumulating that. But then, once you reach that, I do actually sense that plateau, right? If I don't know that's where I kind of understand that learning communication skill, able to have narrative for your numbers, it's really important. Able to talk about the same thing differently, depending on the audience, is also very important. So probably I can condense down the persuasion skill, storytelling skill, communication skill. So those are the things that I have, come across as, learning those skills is as important as developing those technical skill in the leadership seat.
Did you have to be very thoughtful about acquiring those skills? Where I'm thinking you sailed along for a while, you were the one they knew they could count on to crunch the numbers and make it happen. But then here you're confronted with we'd like you to present tomorrow on this and explain why this acquisition, we have to greenlight it. Suddenly the storytelling becomes so much, more necessary. How did you get those skills? I know you observed others, but do you ever try to do a postmortem and go back? Okay, this is how I cracked the ceiling on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of reading, a lot of observing, a lot of practicing, or just saying yes. I'm pretty sure my first few tries really terrible, so I felt bad for my colleague has to undo that. It's just trying, and then once you get proficient at it, it's actually fun. I actually get to the point that I find it fun to learn, how to communicate better. How do I get my message so that my audience listening can, can be helpful to them. So basically, it's a mindset change. Get out of myself. It's not about me. It's about the message that's being helpful to the audience.
I also want to point out, and I don't know, you were in mid-sized firms, but the fact is one of the firms is quite sizable at the end. Is that, Konica or Konica Minolta Business Solutions? I mean,
Yeah,
it's a big
yeah.
company, no? Or
Yeah, company Nota is 100-year-old company. When I left in 2018, they have 10 billion in revenue. Very, very sizable in terms of the operation run very smoothly. I have a first-hand experience seeing accounting the month-end close work like synchronized swimmer. People know exactly what to do to get to your 3-day close. So those are some of the things that I've seen, and then you also seen when you're at that scale, you need like many different go-to-market motion, inorganic and organic. You also need like verticalization. So I get to see a lot of those business scale that this established organization have. When I bring back to some mid-sized company, call it a few hundred million, it's really helpful to know what 10 years from now, what does it need to look like, and basically have that balance.
would you have done it any differently? And I'm just saying mid-size, when you think back what you learned in these mid-size firms, maybe the opportunities came a little more quickly your way. Then in the larger company where you invested, 7 career years, you were a vice president. So, it seems like they advanced you and there were opportunities that kept you there. But are the two environments, do you think, equally, or would you do it differently? Equally important to your career, or would you have done it differently?
Yeah, absolutely equally important. I mean, at some point, it's great. I done a lot of learning there, right? But also my first CFO job at Good Data, a VC-backed company, was a lot of fun because suddenly things can move so fast.
Yeah.
Like when you that size, that's process is not there. While if you're able to be comfortable with that kind of chaos, you actually can move very, very fast. And that is also excitement about why some of the Silicon Valley tech startup is so exciting, right? So I think definitely that balance, it's good. So I was able to learn from, people that have scaled before, I would say mid-career. But then when I am taking the C-suite job, I've also able to use those skills to drive fast growth or fast change. So I wouldn't change it. I think I'm very fortunate to have a pretty fun career.
And in ways of being familiar with both, you confidently, when you do step into the CFO role, it's a smaller firm, environment you've been part of before, so you understand a good deal more than some of your coworkers at Minolta who might have been in this large enterprise environment for many years. How am I doing? Am I close or no? When you want to step into the CFO office, what's the type of company you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was very open, living in, being I'm in the Bay Area. So, going for a technology company, definitely top of mind, working with VC investor. And then right after that, I also want a QA experience. I want to work with private equity investors. So I have purposely think about how do I curate different experience to enrich my learning, right? Because while I think, the saying, Jack, like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. That's kind of how I feel. Wow, there's so much to learn. I just want to gain as many perspective as possible.
I'm just going to point out, okay, yes, she leaves and she enters her first CFO tour of duty. There's another one, and this, in fact, LogicMonitor is her third, and we look forward to asking you about LogicMonitor. I just am curious, is there Is it your network, or are there recruiters? Who's helping you?
Yes, the first CFO job is from a recruiter, the CFO recruiter, thinking, yes, I was also at the time in my life that open for, taking risks, right? LogicMonitor is a public company, so, you have less risk in that setup. So I was open to more risk, different learning. So, enter, my first CFO role as a VC backed company, through a recruiter. And then after that, it was actually through network, and then the Reich actually, when I was Reich CFO, I only left because we finished a successful exit to a strategic. And then LogicMonitor is owned by Vista Private Equity, the same owner as Reich when I worked there. So that become a more, I have similar board composition today as I was. So while it may be a different company, but a similar, a same investor and similar board composition.
All right. Well, thank you. We likely will have a few more career related questions for you, but right now let's find out about LogicMonitor, who you joined
Yes.
in 2022, stepped into the CFO office. What about this company? What does it do? What are its offerings? Tell us about it.
Yes, so LogicMonitor is the only hybrid observability platform that can combine single resource view for hybrid environment, both on-prem and cloud, all powered by AI. Well, what does that mean, right? That's a big one sentence there. When you think about companies today, digitization is very important. Most business depend on the IT infrastructure. So if you think about IT infrastructure similar to a city infrastructure, having the right observability platform is like having the right surveillance system and superpower glasses enable you to see everything. So Logic Monitor is very unique in that way that it can take in all the data, all the telemetry from your on-premise IT infrastructure and also your cloud infrastructure, and you can add in application, whatever you have basically in IT environment. It provides a single pane of glass that you can see everything in your environment. You can spot problem before they happen. You can ensure, uptime for your customer employee. So that's in a nutshell what we do.
So you arrive, and tell us what chapter you're helping open here. I mean, there was a reason you arrived there, and you thought it was a good opportunity. They were looking to you to help them open maybe a new chapter of growth. I don't know. Maybe what's this chapter that you're helping them with?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It's a new chapter of growth. At the same time that I joined, they also have a new CEO that have seen scale beyond, many times beyond Logic Monitor is today, right? So definitely, this is a generational business, and the growth opportunity is tremendous. So they are bringing in people that can take the company to 10x the revenue today. So when I joined the company, I quickly, hire the right leadership team, get the right tech stack in place and set up the right process. So, to set up the business for the next phase of growth.
And for you, it sounds like I'm going to take you back to RevOps. I mean, are you spending time with your sales, with your sales revenue leader, whoever that might be? I mean, it seems like when you're scaling, finance has to be very focused on what it takes to achieve those sales.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, CRO, CMO, CCOs definitely are, my key go-to-market partner, right? So at Logic Monitor, we really buy into that model. Actually, the RevOps team report into me. So, again, it's about, having the right product market fit and having the right go-to-market motion, and then really connecting the data and the feedback, end to end for that loop to grow. So, I think that is kind of inevitable part when you want to drive growth to really have a good understanding on your go-to-market motion and how does it fit it with your customer and your product. That's finance also in a growth. What I learned over the year is that you have to set some structure for scaling, but your structure need to work more like elastic band rather than a rigid concrete wall. Meaning you need, sometimes some things are black and white. Nobody would need to go to jail, right? But there are some, like, you need to turn the dial a little bit this way for this, just to have the experiment and get the feedback before you scale back. So that is, to me, part of the fun part. I get to do the experiment. I get to test the business. I get to, help the business find new way to grow.
But we're looking for a number or metric that perhaps you raised the profile of, or you re-educated the company about, just so employees understood better why it was important, or why they had to look at it daily instead of monthly or weekly, whatever it might be. But is there a number or metric that you feel you've sort of raised the profile of or made top of mind, if not with the organization as a whole, but maybe a certain critical team within the organization? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I usually, what I think about, I use a few metrics high level to align the organization and also get buy-in from the investor to make sure everyone is aligned. And then all the small metrics can fit into it, right? So I'll tell you a little, the example of, in the last couple of years, what we use, right? We are a SaaS business in a subscription as a service, right? So our enterprise value is usually seen as multiple of our annual recurring revenue, so the ARR. So when I, think about the organization, we're talking at all hands over investor. So we think about three things that we want to increase enterprise value of our business. At the center of it is our ARR growth. So, whatever we do, we need to think about the center. Is it growing our ARR? So that will help, people prioritize, okay, when they need to sacrifice a non-recurring revenue item with a recurring revenue item, how do they make the decision, right? So that they have that framework. And then the second layer of that circle is Rule of 40, or you call it efficiency. Rule of 40 in our business, for those of you who are not in the SaaS business, is basically the balance between growth rate and your profitability margin. So they are thinking about, okay, you're either growing at 40% and you can be zero margin, or 20/20, or however combination. It's in the market, in the SaaS market, is one of the metrics that shows an efficient business. Again, so when they say, okay, I want to spend $10 million to grow this 1 million, and you want ARR growth, right? Well, it may fit the center circle, it does not fit the next one. So we got to make it a little different decision there. And then the third one there, I call it category power, because when you think about growth business, it's not just today's revenue or today's efficiency. Is that you got to watch out for what's the next 2 years, what's the next 5 years, what's the 10 years, right? Like, I would say I really commend our leadership team that have the foresight of AI. We did an acquisition 3 years ago on an AI company that helped, really power the platform to have an AI capability. And that, to me, while the spend 3 years ago is more spend than revenue, but it really, helped put that category power halo on the business. So, those are like the three main metrics that I center around all the decision. And then, underneath it, you have your day to day. You can measure gross margin. You can measure headcount productivity. You can, measure anything. But I can show all the metrics related to, either one of this circle.
Have you reorganized finance in some way? And reorganize is a strong word, but have you, gently tweaked by adding or structuring how people collaborate in some way with other parts of the organization? But is there something you've done that you think has been rather effective, or was a wise move at the time?
Yeah, it's putting the word partnership in place.
Hmm.
Right. So I think, again, very fortunate to have a talented team. I did bring in some new people, but there's also existing talent there when I got in, right? Everyone's really good at their job. But at the same time, when you scale, you really need to, step out a little bit. Think about how do you partner with your peers, with your cross-functional team, and how do you service your internal customer so that they can service the external customer. So I think building the mindset of partnership, it's one of the things that we make the shift slightly in the past couple of years. But other than that, not I didn't have to do too much huge change there, as we already have talent in a lot of areas.
You mentioned earlier, just maybe a minute ago, AI. I didn't want to bring up my AI question there now, but from your experience, how can CFOs be successful at bringing AI into their organizations from what you've already learned?
So, AI is the next internet, right? As you probably heard there. So it's here. It's not really just a trend. It's we gotta embrace it. I think with CFO, what I would think about is that it I would think both short and long term ROI. In the short term, you may have implementation costs, you may have change management, but these tools can have compounding impact for organization productivity, efficiency, and also ultimately make your employee happier, because when you can automate repetitive tasks, when you can make things more efficient, when they feel like they are sitting on the edge of technology, that make their job satisfaction higher. So I would say, for CFO, while our job is to basically make sure we rationalize every investment, but this type of investment take a little bit of a different lens on AI, because it's not something that is a trend. It is something that is going to be part of our not just company and business. I was there to say humanity.
Well, we are up to what we like to refer to as our finance strategic moment. And again, we're looking for a moment of strategic insight that you've experienced along the way during your career that led you to, I don't know, pursue an opportunity, perhaps, avoid a risk. But what comes to mind when we ask for a finance strategic moment?
So lots of things come to mind, Jack. It's I think of it as lots of moments that become some cumulative of learnings. So I'll share three main finance strategic learning with our audience today. So number one is adopt the mindset that the financial plan needs to be the numerical roadmap of the company's strategy, because the I think that is an important mindset shift as I go through my career. When you're an analyst, you are modeling, you're doing your ratio, your scaling, your unit economics, and multiply by whatever the organization can take. But until you really take on the mindset, it really is the numerical roadmap of the company's strategy. Then you are thinking from both big picture and connecting with detail. I think that is one of the mindset that how to make finance more strategic, and it's important mindset when you are, because you are building the company's long range plan, you are building the company's annual operating budget, and how do you make sure those become the numerical roadmap that actually get the company to its strategic goal. So that's one of the learning that I have condensed down to a learning that I live by today and I share with my team. So, and then second, learning, I would say, I think we touch a little bit of that, the importance of clear communication. So over the years, I've learned to translate complex financial data into narrative and story that can be easily understand, and so the organization can action on it. So that's another bridge that when you think about, early in your career, you are building your technical skill in your field, whatever it may be. But when you get to a point when you need to mobilize people as a leader, you have to communicate clearly, because if people cannot understand what you're trying to say, it's hard for them to move. Finally, this one is pretty simple. Figuring out what not to do is as important as what to do. While it's very obvious, but it's often overlooked, it takes discipline and I would say even courage to say no, because the fear of missing out, the fear of, not, if we don't do this, what if this become the biggest, market trend? But too many priority really make the organization a lot slower than it needs to compete in this environment. So I think saying no is as important as saying yes to things.
37,025 1. These are the three numbers to remember to get the visibility and control you need to make the right business decisions instantly. 37,000. That's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down expenses. 1. Because your business is one of a kind, you should get a customized solution for all of your KPIs in one efficient system and with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need, all in one place. Right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance, absolutely free, at netsuite.com/KPI. That's netsuite.com/KPI. We're going to move to our mentoring round where we'll ask you several quick questions intended to inform and inspire future finance leaders. Now, we want you to think back to the first time you were in the role. It was 2018. You stepped into the CFO role for the first time. We really want you to think about that person. There must have been something that first 30 days, 90 days in that office that surprised you, or you know, you were a little, I didn't know it was going to be like this, or is that really part of my purview as CFO? And anything, something, and I'll tell you what, we're going to allow you to go back in time and tell yourself this piece of advice. It's 2018.
Yeah, so I would just say, stay calm and absorb and talk to as many employee, customer, and investor as possible to really understand the whole picture, right? I would say we're definitely surprised, because coming out from a very structured, century-old public company to a startup that is growing and finding finding new way to grow the business is very, very different. But at the same time, it's what makes it exciting, right? So embrace the difference and just learn from as many people's wisdom as possible.
Yeah, that's interesting because for someone like yourself who had been with the one company for more than 5 years, you kind of get maybe a little lazy at networking. I don't know if this, I'm not saying this is your case, but right. I mean, I think executives who build their careers in a single company for an extended period of time are at risk of not getting themselves out and networking with investors and some of the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. That wasn't your experience. I think maybe you were doing some some networking along the way, or how would you characterize yourself?
Yeah, I would say I didn't see it as networking as for networking's sake, but really just being curious, learning what do you think, how do you do it. I think that experience of having a lot of M&A experience, you constantly tucking in new company, looking at different company, and so that really.
You're looking outward more, I think, is part of what you're sharing here. You're not internal. You're really thinking of other companies uh, and I'm just trying to think of the networking experience that you might have had, whether you attended industry events or how, when it came time to, okay, I would love to step into a CFO role, whether you try to make yourself, get better connected, or maybe it wasn't necessary. You were already a known entity because you had participated in so many deals over the time. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a combination. Yes, definitely those deals very helpful, right? Because it put you in the front row seat to talk to the founder, CEO, talk to the founding team. You're learning a lot from that perspective. I actually done some volunteering to be on board as treasurer from nonprofit organization. So those also, give me a different taste of experience in terms of learning and meeting new people and getting perspective.
Carol, we always like to ask our guests also to reflect a little on the personal side. We're wondering if there's something most people don't know about Carol Lee. Something, people have known you for a long time might not know. It might be an interest that you have. It might have been a early chapter that you
Yeah.
share. Yeah.
So besides, I'm passionate about my work, but besides work, I also like to I also like to cook or healthy eating. So I do a lot of research on recipe, different kind of cuisine. One of the things that I show love to my family and my kids is to make them helpful, delicious meal. So they are now in their teens. So I'm happy actually they would sometimes make a special request that I would make them a special things that they have come to love.
Do you think your cooking has evolved over time? Like if we tuned in with you 10 years ago, you were, specializing in a different area. Does that happen or no? Do you have sort of a,
Yeah, I would say maybe the journey started more than 10, maybe 30, 20, 30 years ago, right? Like before kids, I get more fuzzy about it, the plating, the look, the whole thing. And also at one point explore food photography to make sure I know how to, make the food looks as appetizing as taste. But I would say the last 15 years or so raising kids, I learned to be very efficient, right? And manage like I would
yeah,
manage a company. If I
you
need to
learned a
make
few
four
shortcuts. Yeah.
exactly, how do you, combine certain things to make less steps? So I've gotten a lot more efficient.
Yeah, there's an intersection there that some of the finance leaders can probably revolutionize cooking if they put their minds to it, organizing it a little differently, saving not only money but time is what the commodity really is, I guess. We're wondering if you have a book selection for us, a business book or something you escaped with, maybe. Or
Yeah, so one of the books that come to mind is by Matt Abrahams, Think Smarter, also Think Faster, Talk Smarter by Matt Abrahams. It's again to my point about clear communication and having a framework for things that you do. He has a podcast. The book really condenses all the wisdom of the podcast guests into one. So a lot of things to learn. As I mentioned to you, that was communication skills. One of the things I work on in my career, and having so many experts condense their wisdom and share in a book, was really, I really enjoy those condense and learning and, the expert tips.
yeah, great. Well, thank you for that. I don't think we had it before, so we're always happy to have a new selection. Thank you. We are up to our final question where we're going to ask you to look forward finally. And we'd like to know what your priorities are over the next 12 months as CFO of LogicMonitor.
Embrace AI, both from a product perspective and also internal operation. So again, the team's been great. Our product already have a lot of built-in AI and ML capability. We are just, a few weeks away from launching our Copilot. Today, our AI can, turn our reactive action into proactive, but we are just weeks away from, getting predictive. I'm very excited about that. On the operations side, we're also, making AI part of every part of the organization, from using AI to analyze, customer call, for code assist to, make our software to, the back office generating legal contract and, looking at financial data in a more strategic way, in a much quicker than we are able to today. So those are very exciting initiative. In the next 12 months, we'll focus a lot of energy and time, and also super, excited to see what results, we can get from there.
Carol Lee, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Well, thank you for having me, Jack. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Hello, listeners. As you may know, we recently passed the 1,000 episode milestone, and the fact is, we've published well over 1,000 episodes over the years, but We only prescribe a number to episodes featuring CFOs because we know this is truly what has distinguished us over time. We're a platform dedicated to the people who actually occupy the CFO office, and to you, our listeners, who are very often seeking to better understand the roots of finance leadership. Well, it's with this in mind that we're pleased to announce the release of our new book titled The CFO 500, where we have profiled 500 of the more than 1,000 CFOs that have participated with us over the years. And you remember Siskel and Ebert, the movie guide? Leonard Moulton had his movie guide as well. Well, that's sort of the concept of what's inspired this volume, the CFO 500. Think of it as a reference volume where you can quickly thumb through the 500 one-page CFO profiles and cherry pick out the interviews that matter to you. How so? Well, each CFO page profile includes an individual QR code that allows you to instantly access the audio interview with the CFO that most intrigues you. Or maybe it's a particular industry. Just like that movie guide you used to reach to on a day when nothing much was going on, here's a way to quickly reference the interviews that matter most to you. The CFO 500 is now available for $29.95 and can only be purchased via CFOThoughtLeader.com. So visit us at CFOThoughtLeader.com. Thank you.